All right, Mr. Miyagi style, guys. It's been a long time. Sorry, guys. I haven't done a video in a while. It's been kind of crazy around here. So I just got back from my trip. I've got another one coming up in September. So I'm doing quite a bit of trips. This is where we do a lot of trips. So uh, I when I got back from my Jamaica trip a couple weeks ago, I actually received my Insta360 Go 3S. Yes, Insta360 sent it to me to test out with some accessories to play with. I had requested some of the accessories from them, and they were good enough to send it to me to do a test and to tell you what's good and bad about these accessories, especially the camera itself. Now, guys, let's get over this whole I got my free stuff, I'm biased. You don't have to receive free stuff to be biased. You know, look at your fanboys out there. They don't get free stuff and they're still biased with their opinions, right? So my job here is not to sell you anything. My job here is to get the product in my hand and test it out and to use it like a normal person. I'm not a professional by any means. I do photography in the past as a hobby. I used to shoot weddings. This is not what I'm here to do. I'm not here to show off my skills and to tell you, oh, this is a professional product, blah, 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 blah. I want to pass off information as a normal user. I used to sell cameras. So I get a lot of users coming in who don't know much about cameras, and basically they want to know if it's the right product for them, the right device for them. And that's my job here. Yeah, I get free products from Insta360. I also buy my own product. I bought the DJI stuff, and I love the DJI stuff. You know, I didn't get it for free. I still give good reviews of DJI products, right? Like their drones and their Action 4. You know why I don't give good reviews of the Action 2? And I'm going to tell you why in a minute. This is going to be a long segment, so just be patient with this one. You can fast forward. I've chaptered this session. And I've been kind of playing around trying to get content, side-by-side comparisons, things that you can do, fun stuff that I'm doing with this camera, what this camera is really designed to do, the category that this camera is in. The reason why I bring that up is I was just getting on and watching some videos, and this one came up my FYP. There was a gentleman that did a review, side-by-side comparison with the Go 3S and the GoPro 12. I wish content creators would stop doing this, is to compare apples to oranges, because I wrote on his content, and I'll probably get flamed for it. You know, it's not a fair comparison. It's like comparing a bicycle with a car. Yeah, they both have wheels. They get you from A to B, but they're not the same things. They're not the same category of transportation, right? You know, when you're comparing a flagship camera like GoPro to a portable camera category, that's unfair, because the portable camera category is not a flagship camera. They don't have the same specs. They don't have the same customization as a flagship. That's like comparing a point and shoot to an SLR. They take pictures. They're both cameras, but they're very different categories of cameras, right? We can't do that. And he goes off saying that's a horrible camera. Well, his title was, it's a horrible camera compared to the GoPro 12. I'm not sure if it's a horrible camera. It's not the same camera that you would expect from a flagship with a portable camera, right? Two different things. And then on his title, he says, well, this is, or in its description, this is not a professional vlogging camera. Well, they don't advertise it as a professional vlogging camera. Neither is a GoPro. GoPro's not a professional vlogging camera, and neither is the DJI Action 4. Neither is the Ace Pro, and definitely not the Go 3 series, right? You can vlog with it like the other camera. Let's be honest. The perfect vlogging camera, in my opinion, I think professional wise, would be the DJI Pocket 3. Wouldn't you say? Wouldn't you agree with me? Because it's designed with the larger sensor and a close proximity focusing. It's designed as a vlogger, right? It's funny, and then he goes also and says that, oh, well, if you're just doing light vlogging here and there, then that's fine. Well, that's what the camera was designed to do, and they actually even tell you that on the website. It doesn't advertise in any shape or form that it's a professional vlogging camera. It says you can vlog with it, right? Does a good job vlogging. So does an Ace Pro, so does a DJI Action 4, so does a GoPro, but it is not a professional vlogging device. Okay, so let's just get that straight out of the board there. This segment is going to be long because I've got a bunch of samples and footage of what I do with this camera on a daily basis, and that's what this camera is designed to do. It's an easy to use camera. It's a versatile camera because it's a detachable, portable camera. You can have a action-like camera with this, but you can branch off into a portable camera, which you can do with a GoPro 12 or an Ace Pro or DJI Action 4. GoPro also has that category of portability, the Mini, right? So why is he not comparing the GoPro Mini with this camera, which is more of this category, because you can pop the camera out, and that's the popularity of this camera. It's this little thing that pops out and you can put it anywhere, and it's very versatile, right? And then they have the 360 category. Insta360 has a X series, which is the 360 recording, right? We can't compare a 360 with a DJI Action 4 or an Ace Pro or even their own Ace Pro or even a GoPro, because it's not the same camera, right? And I wish people would stop doing that. You know, it's a specifically designed camera for specific use, right? When we start crossing platforms like that and calling one horrible over the other, it's not fair. It's actually ridiculous, to be honest with you. Anyways, the segment I'm going to commentate throughout the video sample. I think it's easier that way, just to show you and bore you with background music. I'm going to go through parts of the different samples of what I think this camera shines and where I think this camera does not shine. Okay, so that way I think it's a little bit easier for me to explain to you what I like and what I don't like about this camera. And you can see right in your eyes the sample footage of my findings, which is what I want to do here. I'm gonna go over some accessories that were sent to me as well. Yes, they were sent to me by, who cares? Like, let's just get over this ridiculous mentality. And if you're gonna come into my channel, start spilling your crap, you're gonna get banned, you're gonna get kicked out. I won't tolerate idiots on my channel. I'm here to help you guys make the right decision. It may not be an Insta360 camera, it could be a DJI, but I want you guys to make the right decision for your use. And here's my pet peeve. People who come in a channel, and I've seen this before, and they automatically say that their camera, whether it's a GoPro DJI, is better. And I asked them, do you have both cameras? No, but the specs say it's better. No. Do you have both cameras? So these people that don't have both cameras and never experienced the other competing camera automatically assume that it's better because of what they've seen in their videos or what they've read. Well, guys, come on, I have both cameras. I don't tend to do videos on cameras and make judgment cameras I don't have, right? I always use what I have, and I will sample it and I'll test it and I'll give you the results, and that's the way it should be, right? Whether they're good or bad, I don't care. I've said bad things about the Ace Pro and I've said bad things about the DJI, but I love them both equally, right? If you're gonna come in here and right off the bat say this stuff was given to me, it was sent to me to test, and if you already have a negative attitude, you might as well just leave. Don't bother watching the rest of it, because whatever I say is not gonna make up your mind, because you've already got your mind set already. Have an open mind, guys, and look at my content and look at where I'm going with my content. And I'm doing stuff that's hopefully different than what, you know, 40 other content creators are doing. And I want to be different. I want to cover stuff that I haven't really seen much of, or tips and tricks of if you have this camera, what you can do and what you can buy and what works for you. Why I create things and I design stuff and I 3D print accessories for my camera for my use. And hey, sometimes that could be useful for you guys as well. I'm ranting. So there's a few accessories here. There's a couple I haven't really tried out yet, just because I've only had this camera for about 2 weeks. There are pros and cons so far I've had with this camera. Not a lot, really. Like I said, I've only had it for 2 weeks. I'm gonna come back and do maybe a 6-month review on a camera and how I like it. So far, the things that I've liked about this camera, the 4K. A lot of people are saying the 4K is not a big deal. It's not a huge upgrade. It is a big upgrade. You know, you'll see in my side-by-side sample of 4K. I've got 2 cameras I'm going up against. One is the earlier series of the 3 series, the Go series, sorry. and it's going to go 2.7K and 4K side by side. And a lot of people say, oh no, it's not going to be a difference, it's not a big upgrade. It's a significant upgrade, and I'm going to commentate and I'll point out where I'm seeing areas where there's a huge improvement. And if you can't see it, then you need to get glasses, because I saw it right off the bat. And these are untouched photos. They haven't been docked up, they haven't been detailed. They're right out of the camera into CapCut and out of CapCut, so everything is the same when it's exported, right? I also have a comparison. There's a gentleman, I'm not sure who this person is. It's the same guy all the time, and I see him in pretty much all the Go camera reviews done by content creators. And his line is always compared to the DJI Action 2, which one is better? And I don't know why he keeps asking this, because there was one that was comparing the two, and he kept asking the same question. So for you out there that's going around asking this question to all the Go 3 content, I did a side-by-side comparison with the DJI Action 2, which I have, okay? So people with DJI Action 2 telling people with both that it's better than the Go series, then they're full of shit, because you don't have the camera. You can't make that judgment. I have the camera, I have both. I have the 3 and the 3S and the DJI Action 2. I put them side by side on the same tripod, same distance, same settings, okay? 4K, 30, standard color profile, everything's the same, okay? Frame rate's the same, everything. I shot them side by side, and look at the difference, and you will see a difference. And don't tell me you don't, because if you don't, you're full of shit again, right? So just so you know, and I'll comment it, I'll point out where I'm seeing differences between the two. Again, both untouched videos, nothing was doctored up. The Go 3S was set at medium sharpness, which I set all the cameras at medium sharpness. I don't even think there's a medium sharpness in or sharpness setting in the Go Action 2, if I remember. It's not in the settings, it's not in the slide out menu. And it's set at the same view. Now, granted that the one advantage the Action 2 has, well, a few advantages that I like about the Action 2, it's the screen. It has the built-in screen, but the screen, and I'll show you later on in commentary why that's a disadvantage as well for the Action 2, I think. The other one, it does have a wider field of view. Now, what they did with the this is explained before, and I'm not going to get into details with it. So they're using a different lens in the Go 3S. They're using the same lens as the Ace Pro. It's a spherical lens. So in the Go 3, they use a different lens. It's a wider lens. It has a wider field of view. Whereas the 3S, and everybody's complaining about this, it's not that bad. Like, I looked at the two. The Mega View is actually real. They put it in the Mega View, which is really cool. So it's not as wide. You lose a little bit. But honestly, for me in this type of category of camera, it's redundant for my use anyways. It could be different for you. Let's not get into that situation where we're buying a category of camera that's not a flagship, and we're expecting it to be a flagship camera, because you're going to be disappointed with any camera, whether GoPro, with the DJI or whatever, right? When I bought the A2, I'm honestly, I love DJI, and I have most of their. I've thrown so much money at DJI, it's not even funny anymore. They're the only company I've thrown as much money to as possible, and I love their Osmo, I love their Action 4, I love their drones. The 2, I'm sorry, I tried liking it, I just cannot, and I can't even sell that thing. It's that bad. If you can't sell a camera that's so great, there's a problem, right? And I'm selling it for cheap. And you can still buy that camera, which is sad, because they stopped firmware support, but it's still available in the stores. Explain that to me, why that is the case. You can still buy it at Amazon, you can still buy it at Best Buy, but they haven't had firmware support on that camera for over 2 years. That's it. What I like about the 3S, I love that it's a 4K. I've been hoping that, and everybody was complaining about when the Go 3 came out, oh, it's only 2.7K, it's 2023. And now they come out with 4K, and then I'm reading people, oh, it's not really that great of an upgrade. We don't really need 4K. I'm like, guys, nobody's ever happy. You know, you come up with, the company comes up with 4K. No, you know, we don't really need it, and it's too expensive, blah, blah. It's not really a great upgrade. You guys people ask for 4K. They give you 4K, and then you're bitching. Like, people are never happy with what companies give them, right? The field of view, I understand, it's not as wide. I got it. but for the camera and how I use it, it's redundant for me. It may be different for you, it may be more important for you. Then maybe this is not the camera for you. Maybe you should look into something else, right? Maybe look at the more of a flagship type camera, and the price is not that much further, right? The other thing is that the person who compared this camera with the GoPro 12 really bothered me, because why is he comparing a portable camera category to a flagship camera? Because GoPro has their portable camera, the Mini, right? Which came out, I think, a year ago, 2 years ago. He should be, that's more of a comparable apples to apples comparison, right? The price difference, I can understand, he's probably going by price difference. While this camera is more the price of the GoPro 12. Well, of course it is, because it's new, it just came out. When a camera comes out, I sold cameras for 20 years. When a camera comes out, it's always at the highest premium price, right? So he's using the price as a excuse for this camera to be the comparable camera to the GoPro 12, which does not make sense. Because give this camera another month or two, it's going to drop down to the Mini price, close to the Mini price. Over here, the GoPro Mini price is only about $60 difference to the GoPro 3S. If you buy the GoPro 3, or not the GoPro 3, the Insta360 Go 3, too many Go's. If you get the Go 3, it's actually the same price as the Mini, right? Over here, because they've dropped the price of that. And this will drop as well in about a month or two. You watch, they did that with the Ace Pro. When the Ace Pro came out, it was premium price because it just got launched. GoPro does the same thing. DJI does the same thing. Everybody does it, and eventually it trickled down. Look at the price of the Ace Pro now. It's trickled down. And it's, I think, might be even cheaper than the GoPro 12 now, or the same anyways. So that's the trend of cameras. People don't get this. People are like, oh, it's so expensive. It's compared to the GoPro 12, which came out a year ago, right? You can't compare that. I can't compare pricing structure. That's a silly thing to compare it to. The other thing he said that that really bothered me was the one thing about compiling. So the Go 3S does have flow state, which is very good, but he was using the free video mode, which doesn't have the flow state built in. You have to do it within the software and then export it out, right? That makes sense. Yeah, that's great. But why is he comparing the GoPro video with free video without flow state? Why doesn't he just compare it with the regular video with the flow state built in the camera when it's using it? He's using that as, no, it's taking me 13 hours to compile the stabilization. 13 hours. I think he needs a new computer. I've never even come close to 13 hours compiling my videos. And I compile a shitload of videos, guys. When I come back from my trips, I have videos from the Ace Pro, DJI Action 4, X4, Go series, and my two other cameras. And if you want to talk about file size and compiling, try compiling X4, because the X4 file sizes are massive, because it's two 4K stitched together, right? So the file sizes are huge, right? And I've never come close to 13 hours. I think the longest I've had was about an hour and a half to compile it, right? So I'm not sure what he's doing. He's probably running it, trying to compile it with a 386 or 286 computer way back from the 90s. But anyways, it's kind of weird that it's taken him that long. I know, come and tell me why it's taking you 13 hours, because I've done lots of compiling. I've never had 13 hours. Even using the gyro app, it's never taken 13 hours to compile stabilization, especially with the Go 3 4K. Doesn't make sense. The other thing was the low light situation. He had a sample where he was backing on with the GoPro 12 and the Go 3S into a dark room, and it would just go out. Now they've already said that because of the sensor size, and he's even said that it's a smaller sensor size than the GoPro. Therefore, when the light drops, the video quality won't be as good, right? Which makes sense, because look at the camera, it's tiny. Now, my question is, take the GoPro 12 and the comparable Insta360 camera, or even the DJI, take it and put it against the A4, the Action 4, or the Ace Pro, and do that same sample and see who is better, right? I guarantee you the Action 4, especially the Ace Pro, will kill the GoPro. But hey, I could be wrong. And what was the other thing too? Oh, the startup time. Oh, it's cool. So he takes the GoPro, hits the record button. The GoPro starts up in 3 and a bit seconds, 3 seconds and a little bit, right? Look at how fast the startup time is. He takes the 3S, okay? So you guys, correct me if I'm wrong. He takes the 3S while the camera's in the pod, right? And he turns it on. It was 5 seconds and a bit. Not quite twice as long. He said it was twice as long to start recording. Okay. Interesting. It's right. He's right. The measurement of time. But he neglected to tell you that when the 3 series, the Go 3 series starts up, it syncs wirelessly with the camera via Bluetooth. This is how this camera works from day one. All right. So for the camera to start up, it has to take a second or two to sync up with the camera, and then it starts the camera and recording, which makes sense, right? When the camera is in a pod. Now, why didn't he take the camera out of the pod and use it? Wouldn't this be a more correct comparison if you're just comparing the startup recording time of a camera, no matter what? What does it matter, right? So if he took that camera out of the pod and just used that camera independently, hit the record button and against the GoPro, I will bet you any money the Go 3 will be faster than the GoPro. But he didn't do that. Convenient, right? So again, I'm a little skeptical about that review. Anyways, I'm not spending any time. You guys can go look at the review and you tell me if I'm right, if I'm wrong, if I'm way off. But I don't think it's the right comparison. It's like me comparing my Ace Pro to the GoPro Mini. If I did that, I bet you any money the GoPro users be on there jumping on me saying, oh, that's not fair. That's not the right category, blah, 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 blah. But for him to do it, everybody's, oh yeah, no, you just saved me $500. I won't buy that camera. Yeah, whatever. Okay, whatever. Keep drinking that Kool-Aid, guys. All right, guys. What I like about the camera, 4K, excellent. Detachable camera. Guys, when I bought my Ace Pro, I love that camera, okay? Another reason why we get people, there was a guy who responded, oh, this is what happens when you pay for your own camera. So meaning that description meant that he gave a true review. I don't think it was that true from what I just said. Did he miss a few things to correct his narrative? Come on. When I first started out doing this, I actually, there was so much hype on the Ace Pro and I wanted to find out what this whole hype was. And I actually bought the Ace Pro. It cost me an arm and a leg. It was like, Canadian wise, it almost was $700. It's the most I've ever spent on an action camera, but I needed that. I wanted to see what that low light was all about because I shoot a lot of low light footage. That was important to me. And when I got the camera, I tested a lot. This is really good. Like, I thought it was just BS because I was ready to return the thing if it was just BS, right? And I did my first video and all these people were debunking this camera. And without having the camera, it was hilarious. There was a lot of people that were, a lot of content, big content creator were saying, oh, this camera sucks, blah, blah, blah. No way this is like that. But they didn't even have the camera in hand. And they were already putting out negative content about this camera. I actually bought the camera and I did the test. And I put out samples and I was telling you people, no, dude, this is real. This is crazy. Yes, I bought the camera. It wasn't given to me. It wasn't sent to me. I wasn't sponsored. Nothing, right? And the funny thing is when I said this, and when a couple of those content creators, the big ones, like, you know, they have followings I can't even come close to. And they actually used a camera and they turned around. And their views were completely went 180 and so yeah, this is really good, right? Anyways, back to this. The removable camera. When I first bought my camera, the Ace Pro, it was my go-to camera. I come from DJI. I come from GoPro background, so I've got those cameras, right? And when I got the Ace Pro, I found that I was using the Ace Pro more and more because of the low light shooting. I like the color science of the Ace Pro. Some people don't like it. Some people think it's oversaturated. You know, switch it to flat mode, right? It works for me, and I usually shoot in standard mode. It seems to work for me. I like the color science. Some people don't. Anyways, and that was my go-to camera. When I walk out of my house, I always have a camera in my hand, whether it's an action camera, a regular camera, or my phone camera, right? And I always took the Ace Pro out. But ever since I got the Go 3, I don't take my Ace Pro out. The Go 3 comes with me, and sometimes with or without the pod, which is interesting because when I'm walking my dog, I don't want to carry a big camera with me or bulky cube with me, right? And I have the necklace, the pendant thing, which I just slap on, and the Go 3S and 3 cameras are literally feather weight. They don't weigh anything, right? It's hilarious, and I can put on my hat. I wouldn't notice it. Try putting a GoPro on your hat. Clip it on your hat. You get a whiplash, man. Or even the Ace Pro, or even the DJI is probably the smallest camera in terms of footprint, without a case or a cage. But now you have, see, even the Action 2, which I have here, even the camera itself is heavy. It's heavier than the 3 camera, the Go 3 camera, just because I think it's because of the screen. It makes it really heavy in the battery, right? And it's all metal. So the weight thing is an issue. When you're putting on your hat, when you put on your shirt or lapel, that kind of thing, the weight thing is a big factor for me, right? And that's why I really like that, because that thing, when I have it on me or on my hat, I don't even notice it. Whereas the DJI 2, I do notice it. And yeah, forget about it. Any of the big action cameras, like, dude, you have it on your chest or you have it on your hat, like it's heavy. It's not light. Either one, I don't care which camera it is, GoPro or the Action 4 or the Ace Pro. This is nice because I don't feel it. When I was at the airport, I had this thing on me. And when I was at the airport in Jamaica, I was recording through the airport. Nobody even noticed this thing. You have a big camera on you, people are going to notice you have a big camera on you. This is so discreet. And you can turn that light off. I think you can turn that light off so it's not blinking. That's the only time you can tell it. If I have a black shirt on and I have that camera on, you can't see it on me unless you're up close. Which is really cool because it acts like a really good discreet body cam. And the interval recording, I'm just starting to do that, and you'll see a little bit of it on my video. I'm just playing with. I think that's a great feature for this camera, and that's one of the pros I like about this. You can set timers, so every 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, it'll shoot 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15-second video, and it shuts off, and it'll come on again 15 minutes. That's a great way if you're doing your whole day. I want to do a whole day, and I might do it at the resort, and do a whole day with that camera on me and just shooting interval, like every 10 minutes, I'll take 15-minute video and just put it all together. That'd be kind of cool to do that. And I'm surprised that there's a lot of cameras have interval photo, but not video. This is the only one that has the interval video, which works really good. So that's a big advantage for me. The other thing too, you guys have seen in my video with the Go 3 is mounting it on a hunting weapon. Mounting that's why I got the Action 2, because it was small enough and light enough. I used to have the Session 5, which I mount. It's still cube, it's still kind of big. And I wanted something a little bit slimmer, a little bit lighter that I can mount on my crossbow or my bow. So when I'm out hunting, I can get footage of me hunting. And unfortunately with the Action 2, and you'll see why later on in the videos, is that it didn't work out for me. Especially when it's really hot or it's cold. Okay, the cameras just didn't operate. So that was disappointing for me, and I dropped $450 for that camera, and I don't really use it anymore. And I said before, I can't even sell this camera. I put it on, and my cameras are pristine, not a scratch on it. Always have covers on them, always had a lens protector on it. It has no scratches on this thing, and I can't even sell it for half the price. So anyways, that tells you how good the camera is, right? But the small format camera mounting on my crossbow, I've got samples of it mounting on my crossbow, on my drone, on my bow. It's so light and it's so easy. Just pop the thing on, and I can pop it right off and put it on my chest, on my hat. I'm on a tree about 20 to 30 feet up, and I actually printed and made this magnetic holder that you put on a tree, and I can take this thing and just pop it on a tree and it'll shoot down this way. So things like that you can do with this camera. Those are the things that I want to show you guys, and there might be another hunter out there or angler out there that can utilize this camera for their use, and not have to kind of carry a bulky or heavy camera with them. And that's the purpose of me being here. I'm not selling you anything, you know. I've got a device, I've got my hands on accessories, and I'm gonna show them what I do with it. And if you can benefit off this, then awesome. I've done my job great. I don't care about you know, the likes and the subscribers, and I have 600. That's not a lot, man, compared to some of these people. I'm chump change, right? You know, I'm not here for that stuff. I'm not making money off YouTube, and I'm not being sponsored. Insta360 doesn't pay me any currency. They send me free products to test out, and for me to transfer that to you. And I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm trying to show you that I use these and how I benefit from using these on my vacations, my trips, my dives, my hunting, everyday life, that kind of thing. And if you can benefit off that, then hey, man, awesome. I've done my job, right? So those are the things I like about this. I'm jumping back and forth. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to get, there's so much content in my head I'm trying to get together. I've been working on this for 2 weeks and trying to get this out to you. Accessories. What I don't like about this camera, so we all know that I'm not going to go through a lot of tech specs because there's a bajillion videos of the 3S ever since its launch. I didn't get mine in time to do a ahead of the game launch or a review. Just kind of doing stuff that hasn't really been covered. The field of view is a little bit narrow because they're using a different lens this time with the Go 3S than the Go 3. The Go 3 still has a wider field of view in terms of the recording, the video recording. This one is closed a little bit. Now it does offer the mega view, which is actually really good. The mega view will broaden it up a little bit, widen it a little bit. But the nice thing about the mega view is when you go into ultra view, action view, any of the kind of the wide views in any action camera, what happens? You get that warping on the edge. Okay, so everything looks great in the center, but when you're looking at the side, everything is like curved, right? It's like a fisheye lens almost. So what the mega view actually takes that away. It actually straightens out. It gives you that wide view, but it doesn't give you that weird curving fisheye lens effect on the side, which is really cool. Now, think about this for a second. Would you rather have a wider view, okay, with that distortion? Or would you rather have just a tad narrower view without distortion? Okay, so which one is more important for you? And some people will say, hey, I'd rather have the wider view with a, then I can, but most of the time when I have that distortion in my view, I'll crop it to get rid of that. So initially what you're doing is you're doing exactly what this is fixing for you already. It's actually straightening out the side. It's cropped in a little bit, where you're gonna have to crop in a curved side anyways, right? So anyways, that's my thought, and I'm like, yeah, it's kind of a more narrow, but with the mega view, I don't have to crop anymore because there is no curvature on the sides because it's straight. So does that mean it's better or is it worse? Something to think about. So that's a big complaint for this camera. Everybody's whining about the narrower view. The other one was the low light. You know, it's a small sensor. It's not. I would love to see pure video in this thing. That would be cool. But this camera is so small, guys. You guys don't know how small this camera is until you actually look at it. I didn't think it was this tiny. Compared to the DJI is probably the smallest camera in that flagship camera market. Like footprint wise, it's actually the tiniest camera. The GoPro is bigger. The GoPro is about almost the same size as the Ace Pro. Ace Pro is a little thicker because of the flip out screen, right? But if you look at this camera, when I first got it, I'm like, this thing is really tiny. Right? Even the Go 3, I'm looking at, this is really tiny. And when you pop that camera out, it's even smaller. Like this camera, like this thing is just puny and it's feather. You don't feel this thing. Almost, this thing flew out of my hand a few times because it's so tiny and so slippery. That's the thing I don't like it. They did put grips on this new one, which is nice. They don't have it with the older 3 series. So I think they got some complaints of this thing flying out of people's hands or slipping out, so they put a grip on it. But it's literally so feather-like compared to the Action 2. The Action 2 without the body, it's heavy. If you take the two to put the two together, right? So this on a hat, on your shirt, you can't even feel it. At least I don't anyways. And on my weapon, you can't even feel this thing on my weapon. I used to have the DJI on my crossbow, a big honking camera on it. Anyways, yeah, it's tiny, and people are complaining, yeah, it doesn't have a removable battery. I think it's because of the format, the size of this thing. It's so tiny that I don't know how they're gonna slap a removable battery in there. And it doesn't have the expandable SD. Maybe we'll see that in the Go 4. Because I guess that's one of the biggest complaint is the removable memory, the removable battery. So we may see that in the next generation of the Go series. We don't know. Never know. This is only the 3S, not the 4. We'll get into the accessories right now. If you guys have any questions or want to see me do anything with any of these cameras that I have, I've been trying to fulfill subscribers' requests on things to do. If I have the thing, I'll do it. If I don't have it, guys, I can't do it. I'm not going to buy it just to prove a point. But if I have the product, I will certainly do the testing for you. The other thing is accessories. So there's a few accessories that were sent to me. So the first I'm going to go to is the Mike Win Muff. I haven't used this yet. I'll bring it with me on my trip. You get 4 in a pack. I never really use these. I'm sure they work, but they just kind of look goofy, and I'm afraid they'll just fly right off anyways, and it adds bulk to the camera. So I'll try it out and see if it makes a difference. We'll see. That said, there's that. They sent me the filter set, the ND filter for the 3S. No, you can't use the filter part of the camera. Is the only part that you can't interchange between the 3 and the 3S because it is a different thread. It is a different size, so you can't use the lens guards from the 3 on the 3S, and you can't, and vice versa. I don't think you can, anyways. I haven't tried the 3S stuff on the 3. I don't think the thread's the same. I think it's a smaller thread on the 3. So I've got the it's ND8, 16, 32, and 64. So I brought a few with me for the trip, this upcoming trip. So I'll test out some of a nice bright sunny day and see how it works. These are newer ones. Yeah, anyways, that's that. The other one is the vertical and horizontal mount set. Okay. The white pieces here you'll see are the horizontal and the vertical mount ones. So these use the finger tabs to mount. So if you're using your camera solely and you're putting it on something that has a lot of movement, a lot of jerking movement, or even out on a vehicle or on a bike or something like that, you want to use these, okay? The reason why I say that is because when you put your camera in, it hugs it and locks it in. There's no way of that camera coming out unless you, like, it's just framed in, right? Unless you break the frame, then it's going to come out. And the reason why I say this, because I'll give you an example. So this is something I printed out, I designed. It's a on my dog harness, I've got a GoPro snap-in mount. So I designed this arm to retract up on the harness, so my dog has a POV arm on the back, so I can just slap in the Go 3 or 3S camera and film away with my dog. You'll see a sample video of that with him in it. When I first did this, I had a magnetic mount on the top for the camera, so you just snap in a magnet, it holds it pretty good. But the problem with that is when my dog is running or jumping, you'll see on the video, it goes like this. Good thing for the flow state, because it does help, or you'd be barfing. And when this thing gets whipped around, so what happened was I was playing catch with my dog, and I had this thing with the magnetic mount in the back, and the camera was there, and you know, if he's walking, he's fine, the camera's fine. But when he jumped up, the camera went the other way. He went one way, the camera went the other way. So the magnetic mount is not strong enough to hold that kind of movement, and that's where these would come in. Okay, if you use these, there's no way it's coming out because it's locked into this. As long as your finger tabs thumb screw is in tight, your camera is locked in. Okay, now this one is vertical and horizontal. I bought one. This is an aftermarket one, and it does basically the same thing. It actually kind of locks it in from the front. You have to push it in, it snaps in. And I think this won't come out easily. I've had it on my dog a couple times and it didn't come out. The reason why I like this one over these ones here, these are nice, but this one I don't need two, I just need one. It has finger mounts on a horizontal mount or horizontal position, and it has 1/4 inch threading for the vertical. So if you have a adapter here that has 1/4, you can use a 1/4 on here, and you can use the same mount for each position, so you don't have to carry two around. So that's the only really advantage of this that I like. Anyways, does that. So these are the horizontal, vertical mount. Next up, Ooh, look at the box, so nice. The other one, this is such a cool thing. I love this thing. You guys probably know what it is. Ladies, get your mind out of the gutter. This is a fetch stick. So I asked Insta360 if I have a dog, and you guys have probably seen videos of him. And he loves playing fetch and ball fetch. He's amazing at it. He can catch a ball like up in the air so far up. I wanted to get him something to play with. It's all rubberized, silicone. And there's a little pocket, and you slide. It's really hard to get the camera in, and I keep turning it on because it's so easy to press. That's the other thing I don't like. It's so easy to press that front button to turn the camera on. You're gonna turn your camera on a couple of times when you're putting it in this thing. Just turn it off. It's not a big deal. So you're supposed to turn the camera on and put it in, which I don't like. I wish there was a spot where you can actually turn the camera on here. I think you can if you press hard enough down the bottom. When you put the camera on, the whole thing is basically in like a body suit, and only the lens is exposed in that little round hole there, right? The dog's supposed to grab onto this, and then as he's walking, the thing is filming his face, and you'll see on the video, it's actually really cool. I didn't think the footage was going to be that good, but actually, you see my, it's funny. And you can throw this thing, and you're not going to damage your camera because it's completely protected by really thick rubber. The only problem where I could see this, you need to teach your dog to grab this side. I've seen videos where the dog grab on this side with their teeth, and those canines will probably, he'll probably put that canine teeth through the lens or scratch it anyways. How do you prevent that? My tip is I took some treats that he really likes, the bacon treats, and I just rubbed it on the handle. So when it's funny, but it didn't take him long to learn. So when he goes and grabs this thing, he sniffs and boop, and grabs it and he walks. And you'll see in the video, I've got a sample of it. Really cool toy, and you can use this on the beach and stuff like that. I don't think I'm gonna bring this with me on the trip. You might think I'm weird, but anyways, my dog won't be there, so it won't matter anyway. But this is a really cool toy for your dog, and it's cheap. I think it's on sale right now. It's like 15 bucks or some stuff like that. There's that. It works. Okay, this stuff I bought. This was not sent to me, and this is the dive housing for the Go series. They do carry, oh yeah, I forgot to mention, this is the necklace. They've improved a few things with the necklace. So they've redesigned the necklace parts more rounded at the back. So it's more comfortable sitting. It doesn't stick to your chest because it's flat. It kind of, when it gets sweaty, it sticks to your chest, right? So this is now curved at the back, so it's more comfortable. And the magnetic part of it is vertical and horizontal, whereas the other one, I think, is only one way. So you can put it vertical or horizontal. The other thing they've improved on all three accessories that come with the camera. The other one is this one right here, which is the sticky stand with the clip, the locking clip, and then you can move it. You know, you can rotate the top. This is the old one. I think I packed the other one in my bag. The only difference between the old one and the new one is the base. The actual locking clip is the same. So what they did with the base was they made it flexible, so it's easier to put it on not flat surfaces. And it's a lot thinner and lighter, and it has a cap that's attached that you can reuse that sticky portion of that base. They've improved that as well, and I'm bringing that with me on my trip. The other thing they've also improved is the hat clip. Everything's the same except they put a metal piece in the base, so it's actually magnetic now, whereas the old one was not magnetic. The reason why they do this is because if you have your necklace pendant and you've got the camera, it shoots straight. You can't angle that camera up and down. Where this comes in, you can actually take this, put it on the thing, and you can angle your camera up and down on the chest mount. There's that. So they made all improvements, all three of their accessories that come with your camera. That's awesome that they did that. They're actually fulfilling a lot of their user requests, which has always been a good thing with Insta360. They actually listen to their customers, and they'll make little changes like that because of customers asking or customer response. Okay, these two, there's two dive cases, okay? I bought both of these. Insta360 does not sell this one, okay? This is only aftermarket available. They do sell the actual entire camera housing. It looks almost identical to this. The entire camera housing is great if you want to protect the pod. We all know that the pod is not waterproof, nor is it water resistant unless the camera is seated into the pod itself. When you take that camera out, it's no longer water resistant because it's exposing contact points on the inside. When that camera sticks to that, it seals that contact point. So you can have splashes, you can't submerge it. Either way, camera in or not, you cannot submerge the pod and camera in. The camera itself is submersible. It is waterproof 100%. And I think it's down to 33 feet, I think, around there. Deeper than the three. The three was more shallow. Anyways, just so you know, don't take the pod near water. The camera's fine, not the pod. And that's where this comes in. You know I'm paranoid with water, salt water especially. I will always, any camera that I have, I will always have a waterproof housing. Listen guys, you can buy the OEM stuff or you can buy aftermarket stuff, okay? A lot of people say the aftermarket stuff is not as good. I've been using aftermarket stuff for 20 years. I've had no issues with them. At the end of the day, they probably come from the same factory. And it works. And it's cheaper. I'm here to save you guys money. And I want to show you guys that, you know, you can get alternative and cheaper protection for your cameras. You don't have to go and buy OEM stuff. And that's the same with DJI, the same with GoPro. You know, like I said, I'm here to save you guys money and myself money, to be honest with you. I'm cheap as hell. But it works. I've never submersed this in the water. I don't think I'll take my Go 3 to dive, just because of the sensor size on it. When you're diving, you're basically categorized in low light condition, right? Because the light, especially on a deep dive, and you've seen some footage of mine on a deep dive, is much darker than a shallow dive. I did three depth dives in July in Jamaica. I did one that was about 28 feet. Because I teach when I'm there. I help teach the students the discovery course, and I took my students, 2 students, down for a 28 feet dive. Discovery is only 30 feet maximum, and you see all the light. Like when you're at 30 feet, you're getting all the sunlight in. You're not really losing much color in the water. Once you hit that 40, 50, 60 mark, then you start losing reds, and everything starts to turn green or blue. And when you get into the 100 feet range, and you see footage on 30 feet, 60 feet, and about 95 feet. And it gets darker and darker and darker. And then it's almost no color. It's either going to be all blue or it's all green when you get to that deep. Because you start to lose reds when you get deeper. With that said, this camera I don't think this camera with the sensor size will not perform well in a scuba dive environment. Unless you're doing snorkeling. I think this camera will shine when you're snorkeling. And if you're snorkeling, we're going to get to the next part. When you're snorkeling, use just the camera itself. And you can do it without the waterproof housing, or you can do it with the waterproof housing, because your snorkeling, average depth for snorkeling is anywhere from 10 to 15 feet. They don't go any deeper than that. Sometimes even shallower, right? And you're fine with the camera itself in those depths. You don't need a waterproof housing. I use it because of salt water, and I don't have to rinse my camera. I don't have to submerge it later on in fresh water to clean it out, that kind of thing. If I'm using it in one of these, the camera is clean when it comes out, and it goes back in a pod with no problems, right? So again, an ounce of prevention, guys, goes a long way. And it's not expensive. This was, I think, $7, $8 Canadian. It's worth it. But yeah, this works really well. You can put the... there's a trick to this, so I'll tell you in a second. You can put the pod in there, just the pod only. You don't have to have the camera in there. And it'll still protect it. The pod, you can still turn it on and connect to the camera in the housing. And this part right here, this camera part goes into this. This is only for the camera, okay? The camera part. And it's rated down to 60 meters. And it's a full sealed waterproof housing. I have a mask that has a finger tab mount on the top, and basically you would mount it this way. I don't know if you can see it, so it's kind of vertical. I look like a unicorn when I have that thing on like this. I didn't like that because I probably hit my head on something, because it's sticking straight up. I would hit my head on a boat or whatever. So I was trying to figure out how to do it on a horizontal basis. And there's really no way of doing it without it. You can do it. You can get one of those L brackets, but then it would be off to like it'd be like over here somewhere. It'd be like, it look even more weird. I redesigned on my 3D printer a mount that works. Okay, so I redesigned it so actually it goes out this way and recesses this way. More centered, and it doesn't look as goofy when I put my it doesn't stick out with the L bracket. It kind of sticks out this way. Comes out. So this one's more centered, and I just screw this on top, and I have my mask mounted with the camera, and I can actually pivot up and down if I wanted to. I snorkel with this mask, and you'll see a little bit where I have the mask on. I did a quick snorkel sample for you guys. But that's that for these accessories. Now the trick to this is these two waterproof housing, even the one and the OEM one, are designed for the Go 3 camera. And what I mean by that is the Go 3 camera and the Go 3 camera are almost the 3S camera are almost identical in all the aspects. Like the camera size itself fits into even the pod is exactly the same, because you can use the 3S camera in the Go 3 pod. So you can that's a nice thing. You can just, if you don't want to buy the whole thing, you can save a little money and just buy the 3S camera and download the firmware for the Go 3 pod, and now you have the Go 3S pod. It has all the options of the Go 3S, all the features of the Go 3S. It's a nice thing about Insta360. It gives you that choice to save a little bit of money. You don't have to buy the whole system. You can just buy that camera and use it with your existing Go 3 pod. Okay. With that said, you can put the Go 3S camera and the pod and camera in these housings, provided that you have to remove the lens guard. And the reason why is because that's the only physical difference of the Go 3S and the Go 3. It's actually the lens itself, because the lens is actually wider and bigger on the Go 3S, protrudes out a little bit more. So it will fit these housings, but you do have to remove that lens guard and put the camera in, and then it fits just fine, which is fine because it's waterproof anyways. So I had it in this thing and it worked just fine. Anyways, oh sorry, when I did this housing, it was on the 3, not the 3S, because I was in Jamaica and I still haven't got my 3S. I got the 3S after I came back from Jamaica. So the sample that you see will be on the Go 3 2.7K, but you get the gist of how this housing works with the individual cameras. I'm going to move to the videos now, and I'm going to commentate through the whole thing. And I've chaptered this, so I'm sorry I told you this is going to be a long segment. You can just skip over those videos and just get to the important parts if you want, or you can just, if you have an afternoon free, and if you don't want to watch Lord of the Rings, you can blow your time watching my videos. So anyways, guys, have a good one. Hopefully I'll come back with the video for the macro shooter, and have a good one. Respect. Okay guys, so this is the comparison between the old Go 3 and the 3S. So on the left we have 2.7K, on the right we have 4K, both shooting at the very exact same settings other than the resolution. You'll see me stop every so bit, and then there's a circle, and that's where you're going to see significant differences in terms of quality. So I'm stopped here checking for my mail. Look at the tree on the left hand side, and look at the blur of the 2.7K, and look at the clarity of the 4K. Look at this van coming up. I'm just going to stop. Look at the writing on the actual van. Look at the license plate. And you can pause it and take a look. So I'm going a little fast here. But as I'm going, you'll see the next thing, the for sale sign, much clearer on the right hand side. Right, you're gonna notice something a little bit different too. So on the right hand side, the field of view is not too bad. It's not that bad enough that it's gonna make a huge difference. Here it is again. So right here, you're gonna see, you can pause it there and look at the driveway, the brick details on the house, and also on the driveway itself. Here the sky. The sky's a little bit more, I find it too contrasty on the left hand side. The right hand side is more realistic if you were looking at it from my car. The buildings on the left are clearer in general. The cars coming in, look at the reflections on the car, and that's where you're going to see a huge difference in clarity between the 2.7 and the 4K. Look at the apartment building there, further in the distance. The one that on the right was much clearer. You can slow it down later on and take a look at it. So this is I was driving my wife to the airport. It was 3 in the morning. and it was an hour and a half away, and I was coming back at 5:30 before sunset was about, I think 6:45 was sunset. So this is pretty dark, and it's sitting on my dashboard. And the only lighting you see here is the street lighting, and that's it. So it's actually not bad. It was raining a little bit, so that's why you're seeing the droplets on the windscreen. It's actually not bad. Like for a camera of this magnitude in this category, you know, it's not, again, it's not a flagship camera. Flagship cameras usually have a little bit better lens, a little bit better quality, right? Especially if you're going to be shooting night videos like this, and this is the reason why I bought the Ace Pro, was for specifically for this reason. When I put the, you can see in my previous videos, I put the Ace Pro and also DJI side by side or with the night shooting. The DJI's actually got a bigger sensor than the GoPro. The GoPro just really fails when it comes to low light. At nighttime is just completely useless, right? Without any lighting, these cameras, most action cameras are basically not usable. The Ace Pro, however, with the pure video, the footage is actually usable. It's that clear, and you can go back and look at all the, I've done lots of testing with pure video night shooting with the Ace Pro, and you'll see the results. But yeah, it's not bad, it's not great, it's grainy, but that's expected from this camera category. You know, it's same with the GoPro minis, right? If you took the mini out at nighttime, my DJI Action 2, a mini camera, when I shoot at nighttime, it's unusable. Like over here, you'll see me doing the interval recording. You'll see the night when I'm moving. It's worse when there's motion and you're not stabilized on the dashboard. It's very grainy, absolutely. I don't disagree with that. But when it hits that light, when it gets a light coming in, the camera functions perfectly fine. This was an overcast day. It's been raining and overcast here, so a lot of this is not on sunny days, and you'll see that later on where the difference is. This is the interval recording I was talking about. I really like this. It's set at every 3 minutes. I'll shoot 15 seconds recording, and you could literally do this and run through the whole day with the camera battery. Somebody had mentioned also the guy who did the comparison with the battery. Oh, the battery sucks compared to the GoPro. Well, yeah, because the GoPro has removable battery, and the Go 3 doesn't, right? Like it's a silly comparison. Look at the Go Mini, the GoPro Mini. That's a small size, and it has a built-in battery, and the battery's not great on it either. So the comparison is kind of silly that the person that did this. Sorry for the mess in my kitchen. So I'm just making espresso, doing breakfast, and I like to see if I can go through the whole day doing these interval shootings without having to recharge. But I think I can do it because, you know, you only shoot in bursts recordings at a time, right? This is I was talking about. I've got the 2.7 the Go 3 mounted on my chest on the pendant. And it's going to split to my dog. My dog has, you'll see on our harness here, I'm fixing the harness mount, and I'm putting the Go 3S on him. And it does wobble a little bit. You don't have to watch this whole thing, even with the flow stick, because if you look at my dog and if you look at how back and forth that camera is going, it's kind of crazy. The flow stick does a decent job, and you'll see it here. Like, it still wobbles back and forth, but it's actually a lot worse than that if you look at him from behind without the camera doing a stabilization. But we're going through the park nearby, and I've got this on his back. There's people walking by, and they look at me, it's like, what the heck is that on his back? The quality's there. This was shot, I cropped this down to, it was shot 16 by 9, 4K. 30 frames per second. I cropped it down to the center. I can split screen this. You'll see that, you know, it's kind of boring. You can just fast forward this if you want. But I'll let you take a look at that. Left hand side is on my chest, much more stable, obviously. And then right hand side is on his harness, right? Now, I think this would be a lot better if I should have shot this in free video and then just did the stabilization on the app. I think it would have been a lot better, more stable on the harness. But I'll remember that next time when I take him out to do this. I didn't even think about it. I was trying to get both cameras going and just completely forgot. But what would be nice is if Go 3 could give us on the next firmware update even 4K at 60 frames, which would be nice. And that's the disadvantage. If you put this against the GoPro Mini, the GoPro Mini does shoot at 5.7K in their mini version. It does shoot higher frame rates. The GoPro Mini in some ways is better than this one, but at the end of the day, if you get a chance, look up GoPro Mini or take a look at it. The camera is much bigger. The camera is actually it's only about 2/3 the size of a GoPro 12, so it's still pretty big. It's nowhere the size and weight of a Go 3 series. So I guess that's a sacrifice you make, is to get the better video quality, but you sacrifice the size for it, right? Because I think I would rather be happy with a 4K 30 and have a camera that I can fix anywhere I want, that's light, that's a little bit more versatile, than having that 5.7K where I can't, it's harder for me to put somewhere that's small or have that weight difference. I guess it depends on the user. For me, I would go with the Go 3 just because of the size and the weight itself and how easy it is for me to put it from one spot to the other without having to worry about mounts and that kind of thing, being that it's a magnetic. I don't think the GoPro Mini is magnetic. I think it just uses finger mounts. It has built-in finger mounts that's at the back and the finger tabs at the bottom, so you can fix it either horizontally or vertically, but it does not have the magnetic contacts, which this one does, which is kind of cool because I can on my video from before, I was at a park and I was walking by and there was a metal garbage can and it was a bench, and I took the Go 3 and I just stuck it on the garbage can. I filmed myself going to the bench, sat down with my dog, and then I came back and took the camera, and I have great footage with that. So that's something, that's the nice thing about the 3 series, that you can do those things. I can pop it onto a foam pole or metal post or a fence and just take video, different angles, that kind of thing, easily, whereas you cannot do that with the GoPro Mini or even the DJI Action 2. Because the DJI Action 2 only has the magnet on the bottom side, it's not on the back side. So for you to have it facing you, it's too hard. You would have to have some sort of a mount to do that. I've noticed that with the Action 2. But anyways, this is kind of boring, so we'll just fast forward this. You can fast forward this part and go to the next segment. I'm just going to stop the recording and move on to the next one. Okay, this is the segment where the person that was asking about the comparison of the Go 3 or Go 3S to the Action 2 by DJI. And I've got it on here. I've got the settings set to pretty much the standard default settings, almost identical settings with the exception of the field of view. They both at the second widest view. The reason why I did that is because I don't want to go too wide with the distortion. So I want to show you the details of this particular view. You can try with the other the field of view if you want. Now, granted that the DJI Action 2 does have a wider field of view. I think 135 degrees is the widest view, and that's in the ultra wide setting. It's at the wide setting here, and it's on Mega View on the Go 3S, which I really like because the Mega View actually takes out the distortions on the sides, it straightens out everything, so you don't have to crop in or do any editing of that sort post. The Go 3 also have, the 3S also has the Action View, which is a little bit wider but more vertical than it is horizontal. But the wide and the Mega View seems to be the almost the same comparison with the DJI Action 2 and the Go 3S. So that's what I'm going to use now. Basic 4K 30 frames per second, standard normal color views for both. I want to do this with pretty much the default settings coming out of the camera for the end user. Let's not forget that there's a lot of non-power users out there who don't have the knowledge, the skills, the tools, or the money to do any posts or color grading, color corrections at the end. So my initial goal is to have a setting that's pretty much standard. When you take it out of the box, you turn it on, you record, You finish recording, you download the video, you can start sharing that video without having to do any posts at all. Now I know you guys will say, oh, well, there's 10-bit or there's this, I can do better color grading and that kind of stuff. That's great, guys, but you know, that's not the majority of the users out there. I hate to break it to you guys. Selling cameras for so many years, there's a very small handful of people who are power users who can color grade and color correct. So my goal and my content is to push out information for the people who don't have those skills, who want to just get a camera that works, that does the job and gets their memories on a vacation or family function, that kind of thing, and be done with it and don't have to worry about any of the post editing, that kind of thing. So in this comparison, you're going to see side by side. I'm going to drive through, it's on my bike, and I'm going to point out areas where I see very big differences in terms of the quality of the 4K between these two cameras. So off we go. So now we're moving out of my garage here, and you'll notice right off the bat, look at the grass on the right hand side, look at the car on the left hand side. My car is actually white. It's not that yellowish tinge that the Action 2 for some reason gives off. Now I know you can color grade this post, but again, like I said before, I don't want to have to do posts. I want to take it out of the camera and be good with it. The other thing you notice is look at the sky in the background. You can actually see definition of the sky in the 3S. You cannot with the Action 2. You're starting to see a little bit of it as I go, but the definition on the sky on the left is much better. And the colors on the left, in my eyes, because it was an overcast day, it's more accurate on the 3S. Okay, I want you guys to keep an eye on a couple things. Look at the color on the right hand side with the Action 2. It's almost like it's too warm. It's a yellowish tinge to it. The other thing you want to keep in, look at the blur. Okay, you'll see the jitters. And first of all, look at the gate on the right hand side, the fence. You can see the definitions of the fence on the 3S. You cannot see it on the Action 2. Now the grass actually looks more accurately on the left hand side. It's a darker look because of the overcast day, right? On the right hand side, you'll see the blue car. Look at the reflection of the car. The 3S is better. You can pause it and take a look. The grass on the right hand side with the Action 2, it's almost like it's like fluorescent, which is not accurate at all. Look at the car on the right hand side again. Look at the reflections. Okay, and keep an eye out of the Action 2. Can you guys pick up anything as we're going? Look at the consistent jitter blur, almost in the top center of the screen constantly. It does have a better flow in terms of the horizontal leveling, but it blurs out. Like you'll see jitters, and it's through the entire video on the right hand side. And usually when it hits into darker areas, and that's where the DJI fails in even the Action 4. I've noticed with my Action 4 that when the light changes from optimal to not optimal to a darker low light, the camera starts to suffer and starts to jitter. And this is a chronic problem with DJI cameras. You can look it up. There's a jitter issue with low light shooting in DJI cameras, and I think they somewhat fixed that a little bit with the last firmware in a DJI Action 4. We haven't seen a firmware for DJI Action 2 in over 2 years, so I doubt we're going to see any fix for this camera at all. But look at the definition of the gravel, the pavement. You can actually see the details of the pavement where you cannot see it on the right hand side. The grass is consistent blurring out on the right hand side. It's not clear at all, like it's defined. Look at the trees on the right hand side, that big border of trees. It's more, the dynamic range on the 3S is better. It's clearer even on the tree on the left hand side. Okay, the car coming up, look at the details on the car, right? The truck, it's a little bit better on the car. And it just bothers me because if you keep looking on the right and concentrate on the right, that bush area, it's constantly like on the Action 2 is like blurring out, right? It's not clear at all. It's like the motion, it's got good smooth motion, but then it's sacrificing that detail of those trees with that motion. Now, provided that both of these are on at the basic stabilization. Standard stabilization for the 3S, and then the Rocksteady. I know there's higher but I wanted to keep it at the basic because we know that the more stabilization we use, the more it sacrifices quality of the video. And look at the girl. Look at the detail on the girl and the dog. It's much better on the 3S than it is on the Action. Look at the blur. Look at the jitters. You see it? And look at the end of this pathway. You can see the definition at the end. You cannot see it on the Action 2. And look at it when it comes out the sky. You see it? there's no sky on the right hand side. But look at the definition of sky on the left hand side with the 3S. So yeah, for the person who's saying which is better, and they're saying that the 4K on the Go on the Action 2 is better, absolutely not. By this definition of the sample, like, don't get me wrong, go over and keep looking at this video, just repeating the video and pause. And I've done so many pauses and pausing at this particular video. Pause and look at the building, the round building on the top right hand corner. The definition detail on the 3S is much better than the Action 2. Right? So for the people who don't have the 3 or 3S and they're saying that the Action 2 quality is better, there's no way. Now, granted that, yes, field of view is wider, I give that to the Action 2. More frame rates, I give that to the Action 2. But this camera, I don't care about that stuff. I care about this, where I can take it out, I can shoot, I can get good quality, come by, I can download it and share it without having to do posts. This is what I care about, right? If you're a power user, then the Action 2 is not really a power user camera. It's not really designed. Like I said, it's like the guy who's trying to put the GoPro 12 against the 3S. It's a completely different category. It's not a flagship camera, right? Their flagship camera is the DJI Action 4. The DJI Action 4 is awesome. It's so much better. I have that camera as well, and I use it all the time, right? And I use it paired up. It's a great combination between my Action 4 and my Ace Pro. Phenomenal combo, those two, right? On a daytime, when I'm shooting with optimal lighting, the Action 4 does have a slight edge over the Ace Pro in terms of quality, and I admit that, right? And I've proven that, right? But once that optimal lighting goes down, that's where the DJI Action 4, we start to see it to fail a little bit with quality, with jitters, and you're seeing it in this camera as well as the Action 4. Right, I've put the Action 4 with the Ace Pro side by side, doing pure video and the low light quote unquote shooting for the DJI Action 4. There's no contest. The Ace Pro blows it away, especially when it comes to motion. Anyways, you see the difference. Like I said, guys, go back and take a look and just compare and do some pause and just look at it. So next one we're going to move on to is the dive solo camera dive housing for the 3 and the 3S. Now, as I spoke earlier, and I showed you the sample of this dive housing, it works. It's actually designed for the 3 camera. You can fit the 3S camera in, but you do have to remove that lens guard on the 3S because the lens guard is actually threading wise and size wise actually bigger than the 3. That's the only physical difference of the 2 cameras. So once you remove it, I removed it, put it in, and there's no big deal. It's the case is waterproof, and you can just slip it right into the housing for the solo camera, as well as the one that has the housing for the pod, the entire pod camera itself. So you do have to remove that lens guard. And I actually had the mount design for I show you the mask, the special kind of a L bracket mount. It worked really well, and you can see this was actually, unfortunately, we went to Jamaica 4 days after the big hurricane. So visibility wise, and you'll see it in my dives as well, my actual scuba dives, the visibility wasn't the greatest. And typically Jamaica and the visibility is 100 feet. It's crystal clear. But because of the hurricane, we're not getting a lot of visibility. See, you're seeing a kind of almost like a blur underwater, and it's usually not like that. I apologize. Hopefully I'll have better results when I'm at Dominican. Well, actually, where we are, the water is not that much clearer, so. That's the sample for the mask, and here we're going to go to the fun part, the one I showed you, the fetch stick. Really neat, and you see I already explained how to do the fetch stick, so the dog will actually bite on one end rather than the other, and you'll see on the fetch stick picture that you'll only see the camera exposed, the camera lens exposed. The rest of the camera is actually hugged into that very protective rubber, so there's no way that damage is going to get damaged when you're throwing it. It's literally in a big rubber bodysuit. The lens is but it's on the inside, so it's hard to hit that lens. The only part where I would see you get damaging that lens is when a dog bites on that part and his canine goes into that lens guard. So anyways, that's that. Pretty simple. Neat shot. It turned out better than I thought. So I'm gonna move on to the next one. So this is the test that I did with the Action 2 against the Go 3S, and this is the problem that I've been kind of complaining about with this camera. It has really strict operating temperatures. For an action camera, it shouldn't have this strict of a operating temperature. If we compare it with cameras like the 3S, the Go 3, even the GoPro Session 5, the flagship cameras, they don't really have operating temperatures as strict as this one does. And you'll see on here that when I turn it on here, it gave me that orange display. It says that the camera is too cold. It cannot start recording until the body warms up, which is a pain because when I'm out hunting, and you'll see that the 3S turned on fine and started recording, and the recording was just fine. When I go hunting, it's affixed on my bow or my crossbow. And there's many times where I've hunted later on the season when we are anywhere from 4 degrees down to -5 degrees. Okay. So that poses a problem for this camera because this camera at between 6 and 4 degrees Celsius, it will have this problem, meaning that I can't record. I can turn it on, but I can't record. And sometimes it won't even turn on. Sometimes when I turn it on, it seems like if it's been in that cold for a longer period of time, it won't turn on at all. It'll just give me that little orange error tab that says that the phone or the camera is too cold. You wait till it warms up, and I have to hold it in my hand or put it in my pocket. I have hand warmers and keep them warm and hope to God that it will turn on. And sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So, but it doesn't really matter because for me doing that, I've already lost a shot that I want to take when I first turn it on, right? Because that's the point of the camera, is that when I turn it on, I want to be able to just shoot what's happening. You know, if I see an animal, if I see a deer or whatever, right? You just saw that I let it warm up and it actually recorded. This is where I think the screen is also a disadvantage to this camera, because when I turned it on and it started recording, the screen started to do a weird fluttering, flickering problem, like display. So I actually immediately turned it off, thinking that, you know, I think there's probably condensation or whatever that's affecting the the camera on the inside, which it shouldn't, because it should be sealed, right? Being that it's waterproof. That's the point of it. I don't have this problem with my GoPro. I don't have this problem with my the GoPro Session. I don't have a problem with my Go 3S. I don't have a problem with my Ace Pro. I don't have a problem with my DJI Action 4. So why am I having a problem with the DJI Action 2? This is supposed to be an action camera. You can't use it. Yeah, and most people who have regular weather and use it, oh, I don't have a problem with that. Well, you're using it normal weather. One of the content creators is funny because I approached him, and he likes the Action 2, and I said, have you tried using this when it's cold? And he says he's never really done that, and he tried it, and it exactly happened to him. It wouldn't turn on because it was too cold. And he was like, oh, that's weird. Well, it's not great for people like me. So that's why this camera, and it's a good camera. It's a nice little camera. It does a good job. The three biggest things I don't like about this camera. First of all, the battery life is very low on this. It's actually lower than the 3 and the 3S. Because when I did that side-by-side test with the 3S, by the end of it, I was shooting around, I think it was almost 35 minutes, around there, 30 minutes. And the Action 2 was at 14% battery life, and it was giving me that red indicator saying it's going to shut off soon. And my Go 3S was still at 37%, right? So that's a significant difference. So I probably could get another 10-15 minutes out of my Go 3S, whereas my Action 2 is probably going to shut off anytime. So that's one. The other thing is the operating temperatures, the cold. Okay, cold's a big thing for me. I need to have my camera work when I'm out hunting, when I'm out skiing even, because when I'm skiing in -10-degree weather. This camera would never turn on sitting on my helmet. There's no way. I had my Go 3 last year when I was skiing, and it turned off just fine. And it was, I think, -6 when I was out night skiing, okay, locally here. And it turned on no problem. I had it mounted on my ski pole, that kind of thing. It was kind of neat. I had some footage of it. So that didn't have any problems at all throughout the night. And with this, that's the second thing, is the cold temperature. The third thing about the, nobody seems to mention, well, some have mentioned this, and this was at the very beginning, and we seem to have kind of forgotten about this camera in terms of the main problem of this camera, that it overheats like crazy. You can't tell me it doesn't. You can't tell me you don't have that problem, because at the very beginning when the DJI Action 2 came out, DJI noted the problem, and they did two things to try and fix the problem. First, they gave you that free sleeve, that polymer sleeve that's supposed to dissipate the heat, okay? But it didn't. For me, it didn't. It's still overheated, right? For some people, it said it was only 1 or 2 degrees. They haven't used a thermometer gun to measure it. There wasn't that much of a difference, right? So I thought it was kind of a gimmicky, and you're putting a sleeve on, right? The second thing they did was the last firmware, and this was the very last firmware that they did on the Action 2, was they tweaked the settings in the camera, meaning that there is a temperature safety shutoff tolerance in the setting, and what they did was they upped it one setting, so meaning that the camera won't shut off if you have it at the highest tolerance in terms of heat on the camera. That's weird, because the main purpose of this safety is to not damage your camera, right? When it hits a certain temperature, it shuts off the camera, meaning that it's overheating. When you change that level of heat to high, you're basically overheating your camera to run an extra 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. So what does that do to the camera over a long period of use? It actually will start to deteriorate the quality, the camera itself and the battery itself, because it's overheating. It's running in overheating temperatures constantly to get that 5 to 10 minute extra shooting. That's not a solution. That's a dangerous solution, because when I run my camera past that threshold from before they did the update, and before my camera is really hot, to the point where I can't even hold it. It's that hot, right? And that's dangerous, I think. And why I think we're seeing that there is no longer any support for this camera. They've basically given up on the Action 2. They're literally, and don't get me wrong, go on the DJI side, look at the last firmware update they've had on this camera. It was over 2 years ago. And like I said before, this camera is still selling in stores, and that's not right. And I think DJI needs to address this. Or have a recall or something, because I think this is a dangerous thing to have. But I think I've talked enough. Enjoy. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. See you in a bit. Respect. Ciao.